Okay. I'll explain this. This will seem harsh, but it's how it was explained to me. And I use extreme language because I think it gives you a better picture. Um, I'm 52. I graduated from high school in '85, so I was during elementary school, junior high, even high school in the '80s. Um, the girls, there's a phrase we heard all the time: ladylike. A young girl would do something, maybe she's cussing or whatever, and the teacher say, "Hey, that's not very ladylike. That's not how we act." They get this pounded in them all the time. If you're older like me, you'll understand this. Younger people, this will freak them out because this is an entirely different culture. So these girls get this concept, ladylike. That's not very ladylike. That's not how a lady acts. It's not how a lady dresses. That's not how a lady carries herself. They constantly had this standard that they were given, and usually in front of us, the guys are watching all this. And the same token, if we did something, we're cussing, profanity, telling dirty jokes, whatever it is, or behaving in such a way, we were told, "Hey, there's ladies present. That's not how you act in front of the ladies. That's not how you act. That's not how." We were given this. We had to live up to. The girls were given a standard, and then us as the guys, the boys, had to live up to that standard, their status. We always had to give a female the lady status. Okay, could be someone you don't know anything about. Just you walk up and see this woman, you had to treat her like a lady. She could adjust that, but you had to treat her like a lady. That was the standard. That's where you began. Okay. So, not that we didn't cuss, tell dirty jokes, and all that, but there was a time, a place. You were very careful because you didn't want to offend the standard for these ladies, because you didn't want to be that guy. We had that beat into us. You don't want to be that guy, kind of thing. So, the girls had to be ladylike, and the boys had to respect that standard and not do anything or say anything that affected that standard. That's how we were raised. And that was very common. It wasn't like we were from some church school or something like that. We're a bunch of rednecks out here, but the worst of people knew this standard. They understood this standard. You got in a lot of trouble, and you didn't want to be that guy. So, if you were compare this to what the culture we live in today. Let's say there's a guy and his girlfriend, or this girl that's hanging around with him. Another guy walks up, and then there's you, and one of you starts telling dirty jokes or cussing. You're dropping F-bombs, this and that. As long as the girl is still standing there, the moment you start in on the cussing, profanity, dirty jokes, whatever, you've immediately dropped her status from lady to whore. Okay, that's something you go, oh. But it's a status thing. I'm not saying that she's a hooker. You've dropped her status from lady to whore. You've just dropped at the bottom from what you did. Okay? Now, in that moment, she can recover. One, standing up for herself. Two, so you don't talk that way in front of me. Getting up, walking away, whatever the case is. And she can regain her ladylike status. Okay? She doesn't stand around or tolerate my profanity, dirty jokes, whatever the behavior is. So, and that was just a given. That was just instinctive. You just beat into us. Okay? She had to and it doesn't mean that she, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, but everyone knew that there was this standard there. We walked amongst in a time when there was this standard. She had to act like a lady, and we had to respect that standard. So, and I know I have to say it must have been I don't want to say the late 90s, but the early 2000s, where that just started to crumble. And I can't walk around and blame, because the women are cussing now. Just watch videos, F this, that, saying every kind of thing. And I think it's taught to them that now that is an equality. You can be like a guy, don't worry about it. Okay. Now, I don't think they know. They don't know of this standard. It wasn't taught to them. So I really can't say that They're doing it in defiance. They just think it's cool now. This is acceptable. But a guy like me walks around thinking, where did all these whores come from? It's just terrible. It's like, hey, does she know better? And it had nothing to do with me. They just dropped their status, like, boom. But if the standard has not been taught, I really cannot hold these people accountable for their behavior and their profanity. It's taking me years to admit this. I can't blame them. You know, 30-year-old woman acting the way she acts. It's like, my God, she would not have been very happy in my time. And it wasn't that long ago. But there's still people like me walking around that maybe they've acquiesced and they're cussing too. Or maybe they're sitting there like I am going, what happened to all these people? Why do they act like this? Or why aren't you doing this in hiding? Or why aren't you doing this just in select company? You don't just, in front of everybody or make videos about it kind of thing. And so many people today that I think are in that 20s and 30s, I hear them. I watched a video yesterday. A guy talking about the use of profanity in videos, and the guy says, "Yeah, but there's some times where it's just so right. Like Joe Rogan uses all this language, but it's just at the right time and all that." My culture looks at Joe Rogan and thinks this guy's an idiot. This is no way to act. So it's really sad, but eventually I'll be gone and they'll all be left effing themselves. So it's f this, f that, whatever. It's a pity. But the sad fact is, through all this, what you take away from this, is if my culture was still a dominant, if this was still the thing, which it isn't, it's lost. How women have lost their status. They're not ladylike. They don't want to be ladylike. They don't know what a lady is. And they're in the whore mode. I'm not saying they're not being hookers, but you get the idea. They've lost that status, that standard. Why would you want to give that up? Why would you want to be like the guys? Why would you want to be held in their standard? Before, like I said, we had to esteem every female walking as a lady. And it had a chance to change our behavior. And most of the time it did. Why would they want to give that up? Anyway. I've harped on this before about the use of profanity and all that in videos and all that kind of thing, but I've pretty much given up on that. That's a lost cause. The cat's out of the bag, and you look at the culture we have today. That's what we're living in. It's a mixed mash of all this stuff, but there's no standard. Yeah. Love you. God bless.